Yes, it's how I start my video. Actually, I burp midway in a lot of my videos. I'm like talking about something, I'm like, and then I just keep going. Anyways, I saw a post today on Facebook, and the person was talking about how a lot of magical practices aren't actually spiritual, and I would partially agree with this. I didn't exactly I like where he went with it. I think he hit on a lot of interesting topics. I think he brought up talismans and summoning your personal daemon, and I think he just misunderstood what these practices are, but I think a lot of people misunderstood particularly the talismans. I think a lot of people think they can throw a few sigils on a talisman, and a lot of people, that's their magical practice, and that's to me, that's more like witchcraft. I don't know how powerful it really is. The thing is, my ex/whatever here, she's uncomfortable because she does that sort of thing sometimes. But no, it's like
What, the magical thing? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. No, I think it depends a lot on the magical practice behind it. Like, if you're just throwing sigils on something to create some result, and there's not for one thing, the more you can increase your life force, the more that these things will be effective. So, if someone that doesn't know anything, hasn't tried anything, is totally a beginner, if they do the LBRP, it'll very slowly begin to activate certain things in their psyche and energy body. And actually it'll cause them it'll almost be like it's causing more harm than good. And this is where you can observe if someone has past life practice and these sorts of things. If someone just takes up with LBRP and things like that and is just taken off with it, and there's not really a bad part of it for them, that means there's a lot of past life practice, because if you do something in one lifetime of this, when it comes to this sort of thing, it'll carry over. That's why this practice is so valuable. But talismans, you can kind of distill a lot of your practice, a lot of your relationships with different deities and whatnot, into a talisman, and it can serve as sort of almost like a program. It can kind of focus a lot of these concepts together and create a kind of a specific result, or have particular powers within itself. But it's really just a certain array of things that you're focusing into the talisman. So it's really just your magic, but it's just focused into an object now. So I think sigils, if you write a sigil, it really is just focusing the energy of what's come before in it, your mentality when you write the sigil, and plus whatever it references. So talismans, I think there's a little bit of awe and everything about talismans, but that's sort of my take on what talisman does. So making a talisman isn't the end-all be-all of magic, for sure. And then the personal daemon. Personal daemon is interesting because Plotinus talked about personal daemon. So this sort of thing can be very powerful, and there's an element, if you talk about the holy guardian angel, it's you find your true path in life. So there can be a bit of that to it. Personal daemon is a bit different. So there's a lot of different practices to invoke a higher form of yourself to get information or to empower yourself. That's about as spiritual as it gets. as far as magical or spiritual practice. Because I mean, you can sit in a church and pray and focus on things you don't understand and be nice to people and things like that. I think there's this idea, especially like in Protestantism, that sort of thing is spiritual, and that's like that's what the spiritual life is about, and that these other things are just like nice. These other things are like magical side quests, and that's not exactly accurate. Actually, everything you do in life is spiritual. So, like, spirituality is just a dimension of existence that's inherent in everything. So, to say that magic is not spiritual, but that, like, different supposed quote-unquote spiritual practices are spiritual, well, the thing is, your magic won't be effective if you don't do more, like, mystical practices anyways. And I say mystical and not spiritual because the point of doing these spiritual practices, such as, like, fasting, chanting, whatever it happens to be, basically they're mystical practices that strengthen the energy body. Or, if you're focused on some deity, maybe you're just feeding some alien louche, who knows, But, so this is where I think that if you take religion out of the spirituality, then it's just, like, magic feels more like religion is magical. So this is something where I think people get mixed up, because they think that, like, if you become truly spiritual, you realize that everyone's the same, and that's not true. I've seen that a lot on the internet, that, like, true spirituality, you realize that, none of this matters. That's like Ketu spirituality. That's like headless, South Node, opposed to Rahu, who is like full certainty. But yeah, it's just not true. It's a perspective, but there's a lot of virtue signaling online of, like, there's a couple times people have, responded to me and been like, hey, being immoral is not spiritual, or, like, spirituality is really just an obtuse dimension of existence. And I think if you miss that, you'll miss the point. There's only really, like, awareness and being awake. And once you wake up, you realize that morality is artificial, and everything is just, a practice, a facet, things like that. So, yeah. Anyways.